Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. Good to have you with us on this Friday edition of the show. Been a long week, right? Well, we've got a great Friday show to wrap things up. Film Fridays here. We got a lot to talk about there, and we'll also meet with one of our division chairs here at HCC. Dr. Tony Reyes Sutherland's joining me now as my co-host on this Friday morning. Tony, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hey. We're live today.
We made it to a Friday, finally. Finally Friday, wrapped up.
We're off, and we can rest because Monday we have a day off, right?
Yeah, there's no Up to the Minute on Monday because HCC is closed for President's Day. You know, I enjoy having the time off. I appreciate the college having the time off, but for some reason, I don't know if it's just me, but President's Day always seems to sneak up on you when you've got a lot going on, and you're like, there's a holiday, but there's so much going on. Every year it turns out that way.
I use the day to catch up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We're going to need that extra. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you for the next half hour to wrap up your work week. Tony, they can watch us. They're watching us now. We want to thank everyone watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube. We're here every morning when HCC is in session, except for Monday because we're off. But we're live at 10 a.m. You can also catch us in social media. And Tony, they can watch us on HCCTV.
Yes, at noon, 5 and 10, Monday through Friday. And of course, the social media, go check us out, of course, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
That's right. Houston Community College District. Okay, Tony. Yep. Stick around because you're going to be talking with this next guest, Katherine Rhodes Fields. She's the Division Chair of the Visual Arts from the Media, Visual, and Performing Arts Center of Excellence. Good to see you, Katherine. Welcome back to the States. I know you got a lot to tell us about. You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Lost the mute button there. Hey, Todd, good to see you. Looking forward.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to be with you in about 10 minutes. So stick around. We'll be with you shortly. Okay. First, it is Film Friday, and we continue to celebrate Black History Month. We welcome the return of local filmmaker to talk about this year's film festival. J.O. Malone is the executive director of the National Black Film Festival, and he's our Film Friday guest. Welcome back to the show, J.O. Good to see you.
What's up, Todd? Thanks for having me back.
We want to thank Jenny Waldo. She works for HCC. She's in our filmmaking program, but she suggested getting you back on as a guest, and we'll be spotlighting her project in the future. But let's talk about why you started the National Black Film Festival.
For sure. I think as a Black American in the fourth largest city in the country, it's important to have events and organizations that are curated to the Black American experience, not only to do what we see be in the headlights, right, in the as a director or actor, but to teach and build crews that can do everything from grip to lighting to audio, and know that you can make a living doing those roles as well. And it's just as important as who's in front of the camera and behind the camera calling the shots. We need assistant directors. We need people who can help us create these films from the writing table to the big screen.
You know, that's one of the things I think filmmakers or students going into filmmaking really overlook, is that there's so many positions available. You don't have to be in front of the camera. You don't have to be the one running the camera. You don't have to be the one directing, but there's so many positions that you can get, make a very lucrative living by just doing these other positions. Like you mentioned, you've got writers. I know you've got the craft foods. You've got all these positions that you need to bring these films together. I guess more than people would think.
Right, exactly. So every time I'm watching a film, yeah, of course you have your stars and why you're watching in the storyline, but I'm looking at the extras, right? Yeah. Oh man, they have 100 extras in this scene. That means for that day, those people were able to feed their family, feed themselves, and get to that next opportunity. So I'm looking at it as a whole. And when I see, you look at TV, television, news, and you see, hey, the Black community, they say the Black community is struggling, but hey, if I can get you in this film for 21 days, for a month, I can get you to that next level for your success to achieve that American dream, that American story that we all were told that we had, right?
Let's talk a bit about last year's event. What were some of the top winners? And you also feature features, shorts, and documentaries. Are those the categories that you have?
For sure. We have categories all the way from best movie poster all the way to, best feature, so we try to, not try to be like the Academy. You have to create your own space in this. One of the big films is by a documentary film by Isaac Yalman, Memory Builds a Monument, that he completed with the Fifth Ward CRC. And that film is actually streaming today on BET Plus.
Wow.
And so it went from, making his rounds at the film festivals, being featured here in Houston at the AMC 8 in downtown Houston, and now streaming on BET Plus. And so you see our local filmmakers being able to create with organizations right here in our community, telling the stories and history about Houston, and then getting them on a national platform. So it's just a beautiful thing to be able to feature our local artists, but also bring in the nation to see what we have to offer here in Houston.
You mentioned the AMC 8 in downtown Houston. Can you give us some of the details of this year's festival? Are you going to be back there? Are you going to be working with other theaters? When is it? When is the deadline for submissions? All that stuff.
For sure. So this year's National Black Film Festival is June 7th through the 10th. We'll be back at the AMC 8. We have more than 500 submissions this year already. Our submission deadline, our late deadline is March 31st. And then we get to it, right? We get to what's happening. And this year, I want to focus on hyper local Houston, because there's so many superstars coming out of Houston right now. Courtney Glade, he just has a film that came out, The Reading, which is a horror film with Monique, right? And his film is also streaming on BET Plus, but this film is a featured film, dramatic, and it is a crazy film. You just got to go and watch it. It's amazing. Monique, it's produced by Lee Daniels, and Courtney is a kid. I'll say a kid from Fifth Ward as well, and it's just amazing talent that is coming out of the city. And I believe Courtney Glade as a director is somebody that everybody needs to watch. And he also has one of our VPs, Denisha Hardiman, starring in the film alongside Monique. And it's just amazing what we're being able to do. So hyper local, featuring these Houstonians who are making films, from directors, producers, cinematographers, and giving them a platform, round table discussions, casting calls, acting workshops, directors workshops. All of those things is what we do at the National Black Film Festival.
And now you mentioned that obviously the Fifth Ward sounds like a hotbed for filmmakers right now. But let's talk about the Houston film community. You've worked a lot with it. Do you see things on the rise right now? And let's look at it, over the last 10 years. How do you think it's come along?
It's amazing. And so in a city like Houston, it's a huge city, small town, right? Everybody feels like they can be the man or the woman of the city. And you can be. But the reason for the film festival is a collective to bring all that together, bring everybody together, see who we can work with, who we can't work with. Another guy from Fifth Ward, Greg Carter, right? His film works are actually on VH1 and BET on the cable platforms, right?
Yeah.
And it's something in the water in that area for sure, right? But you have other filmmakers, Jannard Harper, the Milton brothers, Jonathan Milton. It's happening right now in Houston, but we have to make sure that we have the opportunities to continue to grow and scale. I also am the owner of Black Market BLCK Market here in Houston, where we do events, and I own a retail store in the Pearland Town Center. And what I see with small businesses is we have great products, we have great ideas, but it's hard for us to scale to that next level, to have our own brick and mortars, our own successful website. And it's the same thing with our filmmakers. How can we go from that one successful film to have 10? And how can we support each other so we can make a full career and lifestyle from this? And so having an organization like the National Black Film Festival, where we can come once a year, different programming throughout the year, to, hey, here's the foundation, and here's how you scale your career. that's what we want to do. That's what we want to pour into our community.
Are you more falling into the world of the independent filmmaker or more studio filmmaking, or a mixture of both?
I think it's a mixture of both. For me, I'm definitely independent type of guy, build it from the ground up. I think that's the city of Houston. I think we're the type of people who kind of get it out the mud. But eventually you get tired and you need some help. And it's almost like going out and getting a deal if you're in the entertainment industry. And I think it's imperative for us to know how to get it on our own, but also know how to make a good deal and negotiate a good deal for our projects. So we can not have to worry about where the money's coming from, and then be able to just produce and create and be creators and creatives. But you still have to have that business mind in between everything that you do, so you don't get screwed out of your own projects.
And that happens a lot across this industry, unfortunately. A lot of our students are up and coming filmmakers and ones that are studying to do what you're doing. What advice would you have for those students who are just getting started and wondering, how do I get out there? What's next?
Well, you're students. And so you're always looking for interns. Find who relates to you, what projects relate to you. Find the directors and the producers who you want to work with and you understand and believe in their vision. And then go do the work for free. Yeah. Right? Don't worry about what the check is, how much money you're going to make. I'm sorry, I got my 2-year-old in the house right now. Don't worry about how much you're getting paid today. Choose a couple directors, maybe 2 or 3, and say, I want to commit myself for the next 2 or 3 years to these projects and this director's vision, and get those reps in, film reps, right? Get your acquaintance with the crew and the cinematographer. What do you want to do? Be in the writing rooms, being at every production meeting, so you can see, okay, this is where I can get in. And then don't just be the craft service table, which is good. You can create a job out of that. Don't just be the PA. Say, okay, this is what I'm great at. Take that knowledge that you gain and say, this is what I do. I am a producer and you do producer's jobs. Because when we're going out and trying to hire crews, if you're just one of those people who say, hey, I can do it all, I don't know where to put you.
You want someone with a specific goal and specific skill set that you need to depend on. 100%.
So if you're a grafter, if you're a gaffer, if you're a gaffer or you're in audio or lighting, that's what I need to hear and see for the next 3 to 5 years. So when I have a major project coming in, I say, hey, Todd, he's the guy that does the lighting. I need him. Let's bring him in, because things happen fast in film. And you have to go and be ready to go. I'm gonna forget about you if you tell me I can do craft services, I can drive the car,
you want a specific.
I need to know who I can count on and who I can trust, because I may not get another project.
Right. J.O. Malone, he is the executive director of the National Black Film Festival and our Film Friday guest. J.O., always good to see you. Congrats on last year's festival. We look forward to this year's, and we'll have all of your information in our post after the show. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Todd. You have a great day.
Take care. All right, we're going to turn things over to Dr. Tony, and you've got Katherine joining us from she had a sabbatical over in Greece not that long ago.
I want to take a sabbatical.
Don't we all?
Hey, Katherine, how are you doing?
Hi, Tony. I'm great.
Well, we have Katherine Field. She's division chair of HCC's Visual Arts Department from the Media, Visual, and Performing Arts Center of Excellence. It's so wonderful to have you back all the time.
Oh, thanks, Tony.
Well, now we're going to catch up our viewers on your sabbatical and your exhibition that's going on now through April 6th at HCC Central, and it's called Paradigm Persephone, right? First, real quick, tell us what that means. What are we looking at?
Well, what we're looking at, so the basis of my research was looking at the myths of Greek myths primarily, but looking at objects that are used that are in relation to Greek myths. And I focused on the myth of Persephone. And so the title of the show, The Paradigm of Persephone, means the example of Persephone, or using her as an example. It's a play on words, which is what I do in my art a lot. But Persephone, right, she's affiliated with the pomegranate fruit. And the pomegranate fruit is a symbol that's used in many different cultures. And in mythology, it represents the time or the food that she ate while she was in the underworld with her husband and Hades. And so it refers to the relationships that we have, and the relationship because she ate of the fruit while she was down there. So that created the particular situation of her myth. So if people aren't familiar with the myth, Tony, do you want me to explain the myth? I'm just
real quick. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Persephone was a maiden. She was also the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. And she was out in the fields, and Hades, who is the god of the underworld, brother to Zeus, he saw her and fell in love with her. So he came up through the earth and grabbed her and captured her and took her down below into the underworld. And so she was a human trapped amongst the dead. And so what she did in order to survive is that she ate seeds. She actually ate, according to the myth, 6 seeds of the pomegranate fruit in order to survive. Well, while she was down there, her mother, Demeter, traveled the world looking for her because she was missing. And when she was looking for her, when she was missing, the earth didn't grow anything, right? So because she was mourning her daughter. Eventually, they found out that she was in the underworld with Hades. And so she was allowed to come back up to the earth. But when they discovered that she ate the pomegranate fruit, which was in the underworld rather, then she couldn't go down or couldn't go back up again to be with her mother. So essentially the 6 seeds indicate the 6 months where we have spring and summer when the earth is fruitful. And then the other 6 months she could live, she had to stay in the underworld, which represents the 6 seeds that she ate. So when she's in the underworld, so that's winter and fall in our calendar year. So it explains the seasons. That was a terrible explanation. I'm a little embarrassed.
Well, no, it gives a better perspective of what you're going to see when we see the art. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you had a residency in Skopolis, Greece, at the Skop Art. So you want to tell us a little bit about that, and what were your objectives in going there?
Yeah, so the Scope Art Foundation, or the Skopolis Foundation of Arts, also known as Scope Art, is a year-round residency for print artists, ceramic artists, and painters, and really any artists from all over the world that want to take some time to focus on their art and their research. And so I applied in 2017, 2018 to do the residency, but it was delayed because of the pandemic. So I was offered an opportunity to go for the summer, and that's why I applied for sabbatical, because this chair, I'm a 12-month contract faculty. So fortunately, the HCC said, sure, you can go, which was wonderful. So I spent my summer traveling around Greece, but also creating artwork based on my research that I did before going on the trip, but actually while I was there in Greece, exploring museums, looking at representations of Persephone, the pomegranate seed, other myths, the sculptures, and just referencing back to the history of antiquity, and thinking about how it relates back to us in contemporary culture. There is something about myths in general. Now, I do focus on Persephone and her myth in a lot of the work, but something else as an extension to her myth is that she also represents the form of woman. She's the maiden with it we call the 3 goddesses. So there is the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And so Persephone, in a lot of research and mythology, she is represented as a maiden. And then her mother Demeter is represented as the mother. And then the old crone is Hecate. So I was looking at that and those representations as well, because essentially all the work in the show, it's a self-portrait of me. So I'm looking at myself in relation to how women are perceived through classical mythology, but also in art and image making, but looking as a pomegranate fruit as a stand-in for myself and my time being a woman in the time that I've been alive. So the research is very academic, but the way that I represent the fruit in my research is very much in a very artistic kind of conceptual way.
That's
the prints behind me are actually photographs from my visit. So you can see in the prints behind me, these are lithographs that were printed onto monotype. And so I wanted to include that as well. So we have a mixture of the travels, but looking at them to give away a little bit, these are also representing the evil eye. I was also researching a little bit about the evil eye. So all of the images behind me have eyes in them, but it's a reference to my experiences in the summer in Greece, the Aegean Sea, as well as the evil eye and the myth of Persephone. So it's a mixture of all of those things that I presented in my sabbatical proposal.
And so you brought this home to your students, teaching them different things. What did you want them to learn?
Yeah, well, when I go back to teaching, so one of the things that I did, and there's a series of prints here that show I actually used a machine, an engraving machine, to engrave plexiglass plates. And so I took those plates with me to Greece to experiment and push the processes of bringing innovative technology into the printmaking classroom. So I really did push those boundaries there, and you'll see that it manifested in the work. It's in the front gallery and the back gallery. But what I'm hoping that the students, when they come in, because I'm not teaching right now as chair, but the students that come into the gallery can see all of the different processes that you can incorporate from your other classes. Like, so for instance, I have photography. If you take a photography course or a digital media course, you can bring them into the printmaking courses. So there is also painterly techniques that I'm using in the monotypes. So what I'm hoping is that the studio art students can see that I have brought together all of these skill sets that I have from all the experiences in the different courses, have brought together into one exhibition, a cohesive exhibition of work based on a single concept. So
anybody coming to see the exhibition, whether they're an art student or not, can get something out of it. What are you hoping there?
Well, I'm hoping that they'll get a sense of, well, first of all, the work to me, it's a very cohesive body of work. So I'm hoping that when they walk into the gallery, they get the sense of that cohesion. But I'm also hopeful that they'll see the mark making as well as the techniques that I use and the way that I use the ink and the colors, that they'll find it to be very pleasurable, but also be mindful of what I'm trying to get across conceptually. And so far, the feedback I've gotten from my colleagues and from the community that have visited here has been very, very positive. There's an overall sense that they are very pleased visually by the work, but also to understand the concept, and are giving more thought to that. Yeah,
that's wonderful. Well, I can't wait to see it. I've seen some of your work already, which I love, but I want to go there and see the whole thing, get the whole feeling. So,
well, I hope you can. Yeah. So the reception, I'll be giving an artist talk where hopefully I'll be a little better explaining the myth of Persephone.
I think you did a very good job.
Thank you. So on March 24th, from 6 to 8 p.m. is the reception, and then at 7 p.m. I'll start with the talk. So we'll have chairs in the gallery where you can sit and listen. But I hope all of you can join us on that night. It'll be at Central Campus in the FAC building in the art gallery.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Katherine.
Thank you, Tony.
We've been talking to Katherine Fields, Division Chair of HCC's Visual Arts Department from the Media, Visual, and Performing Arts Center of Excellence. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Paradigm of Persephone. All right, there you go.
We'll have all the information in our post after the show where you can watch this. Okay, we've got a big announcement here because here at HCCTV, we helped them out on this project, but they've done an incredible job. HCC is now one of the first community colleges, or the first in the Houston area, to offer a virtual tour. It's now live, folks, at tour.hccs.edu. Prospective students can now experience HCC's state-of-the-art learning spaces without stepping foot on a campus. It's a point of pride that the institution is leading the way in providing access into tools to help students with their biggest decision, what they want to study. And that was said by Dr. Shantae Grays, Vice Chancellor of Student Services. They did a great job coordinating this and pushing it forward. And now it's live. Check out the website. We'll have a link to it in our post after the show. And then we've also got the MBDA has something going on tomorrow, Tony.
Yes, we can join business trainer Austin Tinnett, who can put your plans into action during an in-person planning session from MBDA's Pandemic Recovery Center. It's tomorrow from 9 a.m. to noon, and it's at HCC Southwest West Loop campus. And we'll have information about that in our post after the show.
Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to skip down to the last two announcements. One of them, President's Day is Monday. It's a holiday for us here at HCC, so no up to the minute Monday morning, but we will return live Tuesday morning when we're back in session live at 10 a.m. So enjoy your time off. We won't see you Monday, February the 20th. Spring classes, you can still take some of them now. Second Start has opened and Second Start is underway. But if you want to take the shorter versions of courses, you can do that. You still have to get the same credit hours, but you have a little amount of time, like 8-week sessions, and then they get shorter after that. 5 ways to learn, one website to check it out, and that is hccs.edu/apply. So Tony, we're off on Monday, so there's no Mental Health Monday next week. But next week, we've got Tasty Tuesday. We'll be talking about some soul food for Black History Month on
Can't
Tuesday.
wait.
Yeah, and yeah, good stuff. And the speaking of the League of Innovation winners, we're congratulating another individual honoree. Jenny Vaca will be here next week as well. She's the head of the Adjunct Academy. All that and more next week on Up to the Minute. A lot of big surprises next week, so make sure you join us. Tony, thanks for being here today. We'll see you again in the near future, I imagine.
Yes, I can't wait.
All right. Thanks, folks. Have a great long holiday weekend. We'll see you back again on Tuesday for Alive for Up to the Minute.